Hi, I'm Dahlia Stroud and I host the Stressed But Well Dressed podcast. In this season of Stressed But Well Dressed, we're recording in collaboration with SmartWorks. Stressed But Well Dressed brings conversations to life on the link between clothes and confidence, helping listeners to understand what it really means to feel well dressed and recognising that that feeling starts from within. In each episode of this series, we will go behind the scenes of SmartWorks, sharing stories from the CEO, coaches and clients, and taking a look inside the wardrobe that will clothe over 10,000 women each year as part of their journey to employment. At SmartWorks, every woman is treated as an individual. SmartWorks knows that when a woman walks through our doors, she needs space, no judgment and kindness, and that's what the charity provides. Fashion can be an incredible force for good. When a woman looks and feels great about who she is, she can change her life. The right outfit can allow a woman to stand taller, feel relaxed and confident, and give her best in an interview. Dressing for interviews can feel daunting, but SmartWorks' dedicated volunteers make clients feel so at ease. It sounds deceptively simple, but the right outfit really does have the ability to change a whole woman's approach to an interview and lead to job success. That empowerment is so important to everything SmartWorks does. Clothing, confidence, coaching and community, those are the simple building blocks of the transformative SmartWorks service, which power a woman into employment. SmartWorks supported more than 10,000 women last year alone, but they can't do it alone. SmartWorks need you to join their mission at SmartWorks Charity and be a part of something incredible. Hi, I'm Dahlia and you're listening to Stressed But Well Dressed. And in this series, we're in collaboration with SmartWorks. And I am so excited to be interviewing Asma, SmartWorks client. Hi, Asma.
Hi, Dahlia.
Welcome. I'm good, thank you. Welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So I've just told you that we always start with a most memorable fashion moment. And do you have one?
Mine would be, I can't go without saying my mum. And that would be just growing up until now. She will always be the iconic fashion moment for me. I think it comes from the fact that she was a fashion designer.
Oh, wow.
Sort of back home, she's retired now. But yeah, so I think it was just her style and what she introduced me to and made me passionate about fashion, even though that's not the career I'm going under. But fashion has always been on sort of the front of my mind. Like every day when I dress up, I follow through of my mum being my fashion icon. And yeah, I would say it's been those moments.
Oh, that's lovely. That's gorgeous. And it's so special that, you know, it's your mum and it's that role model in terms of fashion. And then you've kind of carried it through into how you show up every day. So obviously,
Absolutely, yeah.
We're here to talk about SmartWorks. Tell me kind of about yourself and what led you to SmartWorks.
Mm-hmm. I would say, I know I'm quite young still, but it was through a time where I was really going through like quite a turnover in my life, and it was at sixth form. So just to give a bit of context, growing up a lot, even though it's completely fine to not know what you want to do or want to be, a lot of my friends were going through that as well. But weirdly, from like the age of 6, I knew I always wanted to be a doctor. And the more I tried to grow out of that and want to do something else, the more I sort of fell in love with medicine. And I think leading up to sixth form, I had a dream uni in mind. I was like, medicine at Imperial, working to get into med school first time. So I literally had a 25-year life plan where I wanted to like be a doctor, do the training, specialize in pediatrics, go into A&E, and then hopefully be a pediatric surgeon at the end of that and still work in A&E and things like that. I had all of that in mind. And when it came to needing SmartWorks, it's when COVID hit. And having been in sixth form and A levels, my grades took a turn. I went from A stars, A's down to D's and E's. And it was quite a knock on my confidence. I was someone that was quite extroverted, quite confident, had this whole sort of ambition and passion for medicine. And yeah, it was complete turnover in terms of my academic life, personally, mentally. It took a physical toll as well. And coming from a low socioeconomic background as well, that's when I was like, okay, well, there's no choice for me but to take a gap year. And the only thing that will keep me like financially stable is going into finance. And having a CV with totally medicine, I was like, how on earth am I going to do that? And it was the charity into university that got me in touch with SmartWorks. And yeah, I would say that was the starting point of needing SmartWorks, is how am I going to pass this interview at Bloomberg, where I know they will grill me from top to bottom about my CV and why it's all medicine related, and somehow I want to do a finance internship at Bloomberg.
So,
Yeah.
so what happened? How were you feeling when you approached SmartWorks? You heard about them, and then you thought, right, I'm going to walk through the door, and I'm going to find out a bit more.
Definitely quite apprehensive, because I'm someone that will research everything. Anything I can get involved with, I will research. And I've already been involved with charities that are catered for young people, whereas this was quite different. It was very career specific. And with SmartWorks, I remember just looking up online. I was like, you know what? I'm surprised I didn't hear of them before, because it seemed extremely credible. And it wasn't something that I needed to test out and see if I'll stay with them or not. I was sure before even starting with them that, oh, this is something that I'm going to use to the fullest in terms of their services. And yeah, it was actually virtual, because it was still COVID lockdown era. And definitely, at least for the first 2 sessions, the coaching one and the dressing, the first ones were virtual. And then the second dressing one, I was successful in getting the Bloomberg internship. That was in person, and I absolutely loved that. And I think it was after the research that I wasn't nervous anymore. And that came from the simplicity of the service, where I didn't feel like I needed to commit to it. It was a one-off coaching session, one-off dressing session. And as someone that was still doing my exams and trying to prepare for the interview at the same time, that was something that was the number one highlight for me, is like, it's only taking 2 hours of my time in total. And yeah, it made such a big difference, which I didn't know at that time.
Well, first of all, I'm so glad you got the job. And second of all, I'm so happy that SmartWorks were able to help you with that. You talked about that first time was virtual, and you mentioned the words apprehensive in terms of feeling. So what did it feel like logging on to that call, meeting someone you didn't know, and I guess getting them to help you with clothes to tool up for an interview?
I remember thinking, just before logging on, actually, I was like, as someone who's quite I'm Muslim practicing, so I'm a practicing Muslim is the right term to say it. I remember just praying to God. I'm like, please let this be helpful for this interview. Let it be something that will give me a bit more confidence in terms of standing a chance of passing it. Like, I know even for Bloomberg, in the finance world, the company Bloomberg is very, very competitive. And I was like, oh, maybe I've just overshot myself. Why do I have to be ambitious about everything, even when I'm going through turmoil, or what seemed like turmoil to me? So I just remember thinking, like, please just let this actually help and be specific to my interview, and not let it be something that I've heard all the time. Like I mentioned before, I research all the time. So I've already researched what makes a good candidate for finance, what makes a good candidate for Bloomberg. I've watched so many YouTube videos, different clips and articles about how to be good at an interview. Let this something be that can be specific to me, and not something that's generic. That was basically what my thought process just before logging on.
And did anything surprise you, or was it, did you feel like it was tailored to you? Did they feel like they got you and understood you and how you wanted to share your story?
Yeah, I think it was not only just something that I was like, okay, this is going to be super helpful for my interview for Bloomberg, but I was surprised how it wasn't just advice. It was also walking me through how I can answer questions where they would grill me on why it's medicine. Like, till now, just to give an example, I still remember my coach walking me through this answer for that I actually used in the Bloomberg interview, and I will never forget. And I was able to come up with this answer where I would say, or just to surprise them, I'm like, you know what? being a doctor is very similar to working in finances, because as a doctor, your number one thing is that you're patient-centered. And when you're working in the finance services, you're client-centered, and they're actually very parallel in that aspect. And yeah, I remember just saying that line and in the Bloomberg interview, and their faces, they were like completely changed that attitude. Like, said that line, all my answers, they were very like analytical of it. I could tell after that line they were just quite impressed, and then the rest of that interview seemed more like a conversation. So it was like, I just remember, even it was all things around that as well, but that line specifically was my highlight from that coaching session, because she walked me through how to cater that line and come up with that line, as well as several other lines for other questions that I could have with Bloomberg. And that just goes to show how catered it was to my situation, rather than just generic questions that are really good for an interview.
And it sounds like that was quite a transformative moment for you, because also it helped you understand how all the work that you'd done to that point could then be repurposed to help you go and do something else. And obviously, as you said, you got the job, which is fantastic. What was the broader impact that SmartWorks had on the rest of your life and your confidence after going through that initial programme with them?
I think you actually touched base on that as well. It was the fact that SmartWorks made me realise that even though I'm having a turnaround in my career into something quite different, I still, they made me feel like it was not a waste. So like you said, it was transformative rather than just changing things and trying to make it work. It was like, no, I can still make use of all the work that I've been doing to try and get into a top medical school and getting into it first time round. It made it seem like that all that work wasn't going to waste, and I could still recycle it and repurpose it to other career roles that might interest me. And I mean, finance was just a backup plan for me, but because of the exposure and the help that SmartWorks gave me, it made me realize like something like management consulting, which I'm very interested in now, is something that I see myself for the future and not just a gap year role. Yeah, I would say that.
And you talked about the fact that you were an A-star student, and then obviously things changed for you. I imagine that was quite damaging to your confidence, particularly when you had this very clear plan and trajectory in terms of how you want to take your career. Did SmartWorks help you instill that belief in yourself that you could still go out and do what you wanted to do and achieve great things?
Absolutely. I think it sort of translated in other things, and it didn't mean that I like my mentality sort of changed from that just one appointment. So I was still struggling after that coaching session. It made a big difference. It gave me a lot of confidence for the Bloomberg interview. But I was still going through my A-level exams and failing that, and then resitting and failing those because of mental health and physical health still ongoing. But even throughout my gap years, it planted seeds more. Like, it's not like SmartWorks did a complete difference and I suddenly didn't have health problems anymore. It's the fact that I actually planted seeds that even as I was struggling through the time that I was going through, I was still making use of what SmartWorks taught me and what SmartWorks gave me. Like those clothes that I wore, like I still have those clothes now, and going to places where I want to impress or going to my friend's birthday party, I still have one garment from SmartWorks at the bare minimum when I go out to those days. And yeah, I would say it just planted those seeds, and it sort of kept growing and growing gradually as I was overcoming these hurdles, especially at that time.
I think that's really important though, isn't it? Because we talk about the 2 hours is really powerful, but you're right. Things don't change in 2 hours forever. Things can start to change, but it's those seeds, those moments that help to kind of carry you through, and the power that initial meeting created to be able to give you the toolkit almost to keep returning to those moments, like even when things were tough, and build on those is so inspiring. But then obviously, Asma, your motivation to come back to those and keep yourself going at tough times, I think is massively inspiring as well. I want to talk about the clothes because you've said you love fashion and you've just talked about those outfits. Tell me about the first outfit that you got from SmartWorks. What was it? How did you feel in it? All of those things.
Definitely. It's so vivid as well. And I was getting a Hobbs dress, like polka dots, which by the way, I didn't think I would like because I usually don't like polka dots on shirts and stuff. But it was the style of the dress and it was polka dots, it was navy with cream. The dots itself was cream colored. So vivid. I still wear that dress to this day. And it had so many layers to it. The brand Hobbs, because growing up from a low socioeconomic background, you know what, I'll just say it how it is. Coming from a poor background, not that I'm ashamed of it at all. It's like I remember going through shopping centres and not stepping into SmartWorks despite how the displays really really took my attention. But just from that mentality, I was like, I don't want to step in. What's the point? I'm not going to afford it. It's just going to affect me more, or like I can't really buy those, and I wouldn't want to affect my mum either, because I think obviously I would go shopping with my mom when I was younger all the time, and if she saw me going in and window shopping and really liking a dress and not being able to ask for it, she would notice that and it would affect her. So it had a lot of components of like brands that particularly piqued my interest, like Ted Baker, Hobbs, Reese. Those are the brands that a lot of their styles were very similar to how I would want to dress for work, or even for outings. And I remember not only finding the dress completely suitable for my faith, like dressing modestly, but also looking super stylish. And it was A-line as well, exactly how I liked it. And that's how I know, wow, even the stylist is picking up on the nuances in my preferences that I wasn't directly mentioning. Was sort of impressive on that side as well. Like I was impressed by the stylist, and I was even more impressed by the brands that SmartWorks had, such as Hobbs. And that sort of broke an extra like wall that I had for myself, where I was like, you know what, I didn't even have to pay for the stress. Why am I restricting myself so much and putting up these barriers of like not even stepping into certain shops? And I think from then on I actually had more confidence of like stepping in those shops, because I was like, I can save this, I'll just save this in my phone, so that if I ever save up for it, or if I ever want to make it myself from this skills my mom taught me, I have a picture of it if I wanted to make it for myself in the future. So it broke that shield as well, like that wall. And yeah, I think it was those numerous components. And another thing I want to add as well is I remember at the end of it, so I got the dress, I got a shirt, and I got a blazer. And I think I got a pair of Ralph Lauren shoes, another company that I did not even go near, let alone like Hobbs. At least I went near it. I went to the window. Ralph Lauren, I didn't even cross the street to go look at the windows. So I got a pair of Ralph Lauren shoes as well. And so they put it in this big white bag, or at least when I went with them, I think it was like 3 years ago. So they packed it up, and obviously when they gave me the bag, it was a big white bag, and I could see the clothes that I chose for myself at the top. And this all makes sense later. I went home and I remember taking stuff out so I show my mum. And then at the bottom of the packet, so that whole journey, I didn't notice a thing. And I go home, unpack this stuff, and I see a pair of thick tights. And it's important that they're thick because they're not see-through, which is important, again, for my faith and my modesty. And I also saw a scarf, very similar to this one. I think it was navy and cream colored as well, so it kind of matched the dress. And that was something I was like, another wild moment, as if I haven't been wild enough. But that was, I think, an aspect of Leia where it was like I expected to get good clothes, because that's what I saw on their website when I searched, that they have really good clothes from good companies. So I got what I expected from that company, and it did boost my confidence when I had the mirror moment and I looked at the mirror of myself. Sure, it was something that I didn't expect when I saw that they put tights and they put a scarf, which I know I'm in I know I'm in a European environment. I'm in England. I'm in London. I wouldn't expect a company to get me a scarf and get me thick tights. That's something I can take care of myself because that's something that's personal to me. It's my faith. But the fact that they did that and also went an extra step to try and hide it so I can only see it at home, that had just so many layers for me. I think it's something very small, but for me in that moment where I'm stressed and I'm like, I just want to bear through it. And in that moment, I think it just, the little things made a really big difference for me that day. And like that happened 3 years ago. And even these little thoughts behind it made such a big difference for me. And I just like my love for that company grew an extra like quadrupled.
And you know what? I don't think those are little things. I think those are really meaningful things because it's someone demonstrating that they understand you, your faith, your specific needs, and how you can feel well dressed in that moment. And you just said, you know, in the moment where I was stressed, they helped me. So much of what I talk about on the podcast is if you are stressed, it's really difficult to feel well dressed and have that confidence. So I can only imagine in that moment how knowing that you didn't even need to think about those things because someone had done the work for you would have been a stress reducer and would have given you even more confidence and even more belief to go towards that interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an absolutely phenomenal story. And you talk about the love that you have for SmartWorks and how you've worked with them. What's that then meant in terms of being a representative after going through as a client?
Yeah, I think I just didn't want to let go. There were quite a few charities that have worked with me and given me mentorship that were more long term. And it was quite nice to sort of when I no longer needed that, and they helped me work through those 2 years of like mentorship, for example. It sort of passed on, sort of went over it, got over it, things like that. SmartWorks was something that I wanted to keep in touch. And I remember seeing that they opened up, I don't know if they've mentioned this, it was like the client advisory board. And I was like, I'm applying for that. I'll apply. And I remember writing an application for it. And this was just during my gap year. So I was still very much stressed for like resitting my A-levels and doing part-time work. But they said that this client advisor role, it's just 3 meetings a year with the CEO and other members as well, other ex-clients. And helping to see their experiences and helping to improve the charity even further. And I was like, great, this is an opportunity for me to give back to a company that really made a difference. And it's still making a difference. And I'm still using the services that they gave me to this day. And I'm pretty sure I'm still going to use it for the future. Those techniques that I got for the coaching, for the interview, the clothes that I got, I'm still using them. And yes, I remember interviewing for that. And I think after the interview, I was like, oh, I feel like they probably got better ex-clients than me because I know I'm quite young and I only used it for an internship and not for work. And I still got on that board. And even though it was a chance for me to give back to that charity after using their services, I still felt like I was benefiting more because those meetings I got to meet with so many diverse women from diverse ages, diverse backgrounds, diverse difficulties as well as having someone on the board members, like they were senior employees at SmartWorks, including the CEO as well. And that was an incredible experience for me. And I think on top of that, there were also events as well. So we got to go to their fashion club events free of charge because we were part of the client advisor board. And they were also life-changing for me because they were at these big, fancy buildings. And again, it was that wall that I set for myself. I was like, I don't think I'd ever step into that. And to touch on a specific example, the first one was at Cafe Royale. And that for me was remembering growing up, I'd go on the bus all the time and I'd pass by it whenever we go into Central or to Oxford Circus. We'd pass by Cafe Royale all the time. And I thought, I was like, even though I have ambitions to get a high paying job or being a doctor and things like that, I still never thought I would step into a hotel like that. Even if I get good income and things like that, it's never going to get to that level. I got into that hotel at the age of 18, thanks to SmartWorks. And oh, it was such an amazing experience. And it broke down yet another wall that I was not even expecting from SmartWorks. It's the fact that SmartWorks still kept providing me with all these different things, even when I'm not expecting it from them. And they were still giving back, even though I was the one trying to give it back to them. And I think a year later, when I became client champion, I got to actually make a speech at the Savoy Hotel, which was a whole other step rather than just going in for like an event. And now I got to make a speech there. Until now, whenever I edit my CV to update it, the part where I say I spoke at Savoy Hotel for SmartWorks at RCK Partners, it still just brings a smile. So like, even though I'm doing something as stressful as editing my CV and updating it for another job application, just going over that line as I'm doing the other stuff on my CV, it still brings me a smile. And again, that's thanks to SmartWorks.
And it's amazing. I mean, Asma, this is the most incredible and inspiring story in terms of all the things that, first of all, SmartWorks has offered you in terms of opportunity, but how you've grabbed them as well, and how you've really taken advantage of them in an amazing way and allowed them to build you up and build your confidence. And you're right, you know, those moments, you should have those pause and reflect moments. We all should, but, you know, especially to look when you're doing your CV, which can be a really draining thing to do, to look at it and say, wow, I did that and I achieved that and I'm super proud of that. And all of that is about instilling and reinforcing self-belief in yourself, which is those moments that you talked about that SmartWorks continues to give in terms of building you up. What advice would you give to someone who was in the position you were 3 years ago before you found out about SmartWorks and started to get involved? Someone who's, you know, they're thinking, you know, maybe my career isn't working out the way I want it to, or even I'm just stepping into employment for the first time and I need some help, but I don't know where to go.
Mm-hmm. I would say, oh, that's a tough one. I say if someone's in a similar position to me, then it means it's someone that might have a certain belief system, whatever religion that might be or whatever belief that might be. But they also are quite ambitious and they want to do well and they're conscientious and want to provide for their family and make their family proud. That was certainly an aspect for me because my family made a lot of sacrifices. And I'd say for a person like that, because they would be very similar to me, I think the advice that I would want to give them is, yes, as something as cliche as not quitting, but also remembering to not stop looking out for services, because I didn't think something like SmartWorks existed, where it came to something as being simple, sharp, not take too much of your time. It's one-to-one, it's very catered. But as well as like finding something like SmartWorks actually gave me the courage to look at more things when I had other sort of difficulties. Once I entered uni, I remember I looked for even more. That gave me the confidence to actually, you know what, there's a lot more that I didn't think would exist. And that's how I found other services like Upreach and SEO, which have made a very big difference to my career and my student life. So yeah, I would say you have to search deep enough to find something that will help you and that's specific to you. So I'd say that's one advice. And another advice is to make sure that you don't lose yourself in the process. I think, how to put it in a concise way? I think as someone who's take my religion very highly, but at the same time want to make sure that I don't compromise that when I need to take a higher paying job, but also make sure I enjoy it and have a good life balance and things like that. There's so many things to take into consideration, that you need to make sure that if you're going after these things, that you're not losing yourself and you're not losing what's important to you. And I think that through parts of it, I think I realized that I was losing the amount of time I was spending with my family or the amount of time I was spending with my friends. And I remember willingly giving that up and only realizing it later that I should have given it up earlier. And I think, that made me realize, okay, now I've got this time back with that I can spend with my friends and my family. And that made such a big difference to my mental health, and in turn making a difference to how I study efficiently. And I think not losing myself and not thinking that working hard will get you what you want, because I think I was told that a lot. And I know it's an uncommon thing, like thinking to have. Now I don't think hard work can get you what you want, because growing up I was always told, oh, working hard for good, studying hard will get you the grades you want. But in A levels, when I was going through COVID, I was studying very hard, and working really hard towards it, but I still didn't get it because there were other components involved. So I think that can mislead you and mislead a lot of young, like men or women, young individuals like me, into thinking that hard work will get them what they want, and if they don't, then they don't value themselves enough. So I was knocking my confidence. I didn't value myself as highly as I did before. So I think also that, and it's me not quitting is what got me to what I wanted, or what got me to places in life that was rewarding and of value. It was not quitting, not that I was not working hard enough. So I guess that's also another piece of advice. Yeah, I don't know if that made sense, actually.
I mean, look, I think it was brilliant. And I think, you've talked so much about resilience there. And the word that I kept hearing, Asma, was belief. And for me, it sounds like what SmartWorks did was believed in you to help you remember to believe in yourself. And I think that that is so powerful as a message in terms of how SmartWorks operates. And then the fact that it's become a relationship where you've given back to them, and they continue to offer you those opportunities as we go. I'm so humbled to be sitting in front of you and listening to you, because it is just the most amazing, inspiring and remarkable story, and truly wish you all the best in your studies and in what comes next, because I can see the ambition there. I just want to finish, which we always do, by asking if you're stressed or well dressed.
Oh, I would say, you know what? I would say I'm both. I'm always both. I've actually learned to be both, because there were a lot of times where I would be just stressed, and then the times that I am well dressed, I will always be stressed. But now I've turned that into always being stressed but well dressed, because I think a turning moment was 7 months ago, when I was like, I'm studying for an exam, but I was wearing like a hoodie to a cafe to study, and the next day I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear an outfit that I only save for special occasions, and I'm going to wear that to the cafe to study. And that became a turning moment. So now I'm like, even when I study for an exam and I'm super stressed, I put a good outfit on, because why should good outfits only be for special occasions? Let it be for the times where I am super, super stressed. So yeah, I would say I try to always be both, because I know I can never be well dressed without being stressed. So at least now when I am super stressed, I'm still well dressed.
Well, I am generally both too, so you're in good company. Asma, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I hope this got you thinking about what well-dressed means for you. If you enjoyed the show, jump onto the platform and give us a review. Thanks for listening to Stressed But Well Dressed. I'm your host, Dahlia Stroud. Have a great day. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I love your outfit.